I'm Becky Fawcett, mom by adoption, infertile blonde, female founder, and a businesswoman. The rule books. I'm not a fan of the rule books, but the podcast rule books tell me that every introduction has to be the same. Not here. Mine will not be the same every episode. Most of my life, I tried to live up to this ridiculous level of perfection because I thought that's what the world wanted to see. I did a pretty good job of it. I did what everyone else was doing, and then I tried to have children. And that's the plot twist. So now I look for every opportunity to be different and walk a different road. I'm an outspoken advocate who wants to change the world. A lot of the time, this gets me into trouble. But for the most part, it helps me make real connections with real people. Welcome to my podcast, The Fawcett Report. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have with me Erika Gabriel, who is a professional spiritual medium. She was introduced to me by a good friend, and then she became a good friend. She is a teacher and a wayfinder whose calling is to help people find purpose, direction, and clarity in life. She's been doing this professionally for 15 years, and she's performed thousands of live readings for individuals, including me, from all over the world and all walks of life. She's been featured in the New York Times, Forbes, Goop, InStyle, and she hosts her own podcast called You Are Not Alone, which explores our collective search for answers about life, death, and everything in between. She is a firm believer that the power exists within all of us, and she's pretty badass. Erika, you're like the real deal. This is really amazing what you've done.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. I have not listened to my own bio in so long, so that was fun. Also, it made me laugh too because it says 15 years, and I'm like, I think now it's 17 years.
You knew this for much longer, though, than you. Am I going out of order already?
No.
I knew talking to you today would be like, we wouldn't even have enough time to like tip the iceberg.
What's meant to come up will come up. And yeah, this is a lifelong journey. This is something that I started realizing when I was 7 years old. I always tell people never to dabble in mediumship. It's really been a lifelong practice, a lifelong journey. I've read for thousands of people all over the world. And this is my life's devotion, my life's work. And this is what I was born to do and what I was born with this ability. And what's really cool about the more and more you work with spirit and spirituality, you realize every single person on this planet can connect in with God and connect in with spirit. It's not just for some of us, right? But everyone has different skills and different things that we're supposed to be doing. Thank God we're not all mediums. Like, would be super messed up.
I get to build families. That's my superpower.
That's it. Exactly. Everyone has their own path, but it doesn't mean that other people can't connect with their loved one who've crossed over or tune into spirit guides, God, connect with their angels. This is available to all of us, not just some of us.
You have to be willing to let it in too, don't you? Some people are very unwilling to believe in some of this, which we're going to get to.
There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear the unknown. But when you move through that fear, you get into the promised land and you get this incredible connection to all that there is. And it's really available to everyone. Fear is the great blocker of all things delicious in a lot of ways. So
it is. I'm an entrepreneur, as everybody knows, and I have no fear about this stuff. In my business life, that's what's helped me be successful because people are like, you can't do that. What if it fails? I'm like, will it fail? I think we're okay. Like, I'm okay with some of these things. And I get that from a different business side. Fear really holds people back from pursuing a lot of dreams on many different levels. We met through Help Us Adopt. This is it. My tagline is all roads lead to Help Us Adopt. Gina introduced us.
Yeah, Gina, one of my absolute best friends, Gina Genesio, who's just one of the most amazing people in the world. I love her. I love her entire family. I love her kids.
They're amazing.
They're amazing.
One of my favorite people too.
Yeah, her husband is a wonderful human and my husband loves him. And it's just such a beautiful connection. And she brought me in and got me involved. And you and I met in like a car going from Manhattan to Connecticut or something like that. But it was funny because we get in the car and we're like, oh, I didn't know who I was meeting. You didn't know who you're meeting. We're like, oh, hi. Oh, it's you. Oh, we're already friends. And then we know the same people. Oh, our mom and son know each other.
Yeah.
And it's immediate flow. At the time, I have a lot of people wanting me to do things for various outreach or charities. And that's such an honor and a joy for me. I'm a small business. Every single thing I do it's me. It's not like I sell jewelry and can send out 100 at once, right? It's all me. So I have to really let spirit guide me and go to where I'm guided. And adoption and people finding each other and spirit finding spirits that they're meant to be with is something that I've been incredibly passionate about my whole career. And especially reading for people that have had either been an adoptee or have adopted or given up for adoption or all kinds. This has been such an incredible component to so when Gina asked me, I was like, yep, I'm freaking going to Connecticut. You know what I mean? I'll do anything.
So plus you're a mother. And from knowing you, you're all in as a mother. It's not a half title. It's like a title and a half with you. You know what I mean? So that's also, besides your professional thing, like that's what we do. We build families that help us adopt. And I've been very grateful for your support and then just so grateful to get to know you better over the years. Of course, I find your work fascinating and I want to share that with everybody listening today. But you knew this at 7. How was that growing up?
When you're 7 years old, you don't have that acknowledgement of, oh, I'm a spiritual medium and I'm supposed to connect people to spirit. It's different. It's more like this understanding and seeing things and feeling things and hearing things that you know that other people aren't seeing, hearing, feeling. It's confusing and also just scary because when you're a kid, what do you think of when you think of spirit? You think of ghosts and hauntings and scary movies. I grew up like in the 80s. I watched like whatever I wanted. It's a very different time. So like,
it was very different
scary
time.
movies, inappropriate scary movies. So you think you're being haunted. So I had a lot of fear of the unknown, a lot of fear of being alone, just extreme fear of darkness, fear of sleeping alone, all of those things that a lot of kids have. You have to understand children are closest to spirit. They were just there. So a lot of kids feel that. And I know a lot of people that are listening are going to say, oh my God, that's my daughter. She's so afraid, or she thinks she sees and hears things. And so as a kid, we're very sensitive anyway. And then a lot of times people move on. We move on and develop other skills, right? But for me, it stayed. So I went on a very deep spiritual journey through most of my life. So I was very drawn towards studying God, studying religions, prayer. I was obsessed with Ouija boards for a while. I went the whole gamut of trying to understand what it was, quote unquote, and delved in. I've been to every kind of church, every kind of temple. I didn't know if I was being called by God to be some minister, to be, you really don't know. And you just continue living your life and on this path and journey. And it was in my 20s where I started really understanding something deeper was going on. And through a different series of events, had this understanding like, okay, I am a spiritual medium. Oh, and it was like this light bulb that was already there just got turned on. It wasn't like, what? It was like, thank you.
Got it. I got it.
It was like it scratching a deep itch. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? I'm not a minister. I'm not a rabbi. I'm not or whatever I may have thought at the time, or I'm not a ghost hunter or whatever. It was like, okay, I'm a spiritual medium. And then the shit completely hit the fan and it was a disaster. And I had a spiritual awakening as well as a dark night of the soul, which was just a horrifying experience. And through years of study and years of practice and years of training and studying, I'm able to do what I do and connect people with messages from the spirit world to assist them,
so
them in their life.
What was that like dating? Like when you were dating your husband, did you tell him while you were dating? Like, how does that work? It's not, oh, hi, I'm in advertising or I'm in banking. It's, oh, hi, I'm a spiritual medium.
Yeah. When I first met my husband, I was deep into my spiritual path. So he knew how deeply spiritual I was and how much I was looking at God and studying God. But it wasn't clear that I was going to be doing mediumship at that time. I was doing energetic work, like physical hands-on energetic work, things like that. I was channeling in that way. It wasn't completely clear. And it wasn't until the weekend after we got married that it was clear that it was mediumship and that I was a medium. So he was with me the whole way and I wouldn't have found him or been with him, or we wouldn't have chosen that for each other if it was any kind of issue or problem. But I can't get with the squares, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. Like, I've tried, but no, I've always dated very open, artistic types people. Like, so that was never that weird. I can tell you if you want a funny story. This was like when I was first really delving in, and I used to have mediumship pop in randomly. So this was before I really got a hold and understood. I would like be out somewhere and get a message for someone. And I was at a bar and I was like talking to this guy, like he was a super hot guy. We were on this bar on Franklin in Hollywood. And we were like talking and he was just looking at me. He was like hitting on me. And I just heard this voice like, you need to go back to Jackie because that's who your true love is. And what are you doing here? And I was like, you need to go back to Jackie. And he was like, excuse me? And I like just basically told him what I was hearing. And he was like, I'm leaving. Like he got so weirded out. He left. And the next day, yep. And the next day I saw him walking down the street because it was a small neighborhood and he crossed the street when he saw me walking down the street. So it did come up.
It's just so interesting.
Yeah.
I can only imagine you'll be like in a conversation with someone and you'll hear something and you'll be like, gotta go.
I don't do that anymore. I don't ever do that. I only read for people that want to be read. So when you see people like on a TV show, Long Island Medium, who I think is adorable, nothing negative, she'll go up to the person that she's buying a cake from in the bakery and be like, oh, did your dad die? So I don't tell people, I don't do readings for free. This is what I do. I don't randomly attack people with messages. That is not a party trick and I'm not a magician.
No, I'm glad you said that. Yes. I'm very glad you said that.
When you have a calling to get a reading and to open your heart to spirit and you want to sit with someone that you trust, like I'm available to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love that.
That was before I fully opened as a medium. I would just come out and I'd be like, what the heck? Yeah.
What about your kids? How old are they now? At what point did you bring them into this? What did they say? Obviously, they're your children. Obviously, they're growing up with it. But again, it's not, oh, hi, I'm your mother. I go to a bank every day or a retail store. It's a different road.
Yes. So I have a son, Asa, and he's 12, and my daughter, Naomi, is 10. And the way that I've worked with them with what I do is very age appropriate. So whatever I feel that their soul is willing and available to process, that's where we go with them understanding what I do. So they know I work with spirit. They know I deliver messages. They don't ever over ask things or ask for things for themselves. It's an unfolding, almost like I think of it like a lotus flower, and it unfolds at the rate that they are available and they ask questions, and I never push anything on them. But definitely.
Well, that's so interesting that you said that because that's like adoption. That's like being a mom to adopted children. And we have open adoptions. It's the same thing. And I love that you said lotus flower. It's like this journey from the day they were in my arms and the questions and the telling them and the information. So I love that. It's very parallel.
You're letting things unfurl, I think it's called. And you're letting things go at the pace that feels healthy for everyone, mind, body, and spirit. And that's beautiful. And that's what I hear you say. And like, that is definitely what I'm doing with my kids. I don't keep anything from them. I tell them anything that they ask and I don't push it on them, but it's sweet. Like the other day I was walking with my son. We're on a nature walk and we're walking and my dog says hi to someone else's dog. And I'm like, come on, buddy, like saying to my dog and me and my son, my dog. And the woman goes, oh my God, are you spiritual medium, Erika? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, oh my God, I recognized your voice from Instagram. I've been following you for 7 years. Oh my God. And she froze and gave me a huge hug and just,
I love that.
And told me about her experience with the information that I'm bringing forward. And my son got to hear that. So he does see that there's something special happening. So they feel happy and positive. And I definitely, a little more with my son who's 12 now, will do certain things. They'll ask me a question and I'll say, what do you think? What are your guides saying to you? What do you think your angel's name is? You know what I mean? And then we'll get validation.
I know people who've done readings with you and you've brought some people peace in some very non-peaceful situations. And I know that. And when they tell me like, this is what she said during my reading, and I'm like, that makes sense. So I love that about all this is that sometimes some unexplainable things happen in our lives and you're not at peace with it, but there's no way to really get the answers, right? Can't always get what you want out of the decisions in this world. So I love that you bring that peace to people. And I think that's very cool. So we're going to talk about this event you did for Help Us Adopt at my friend's house in Connecticut. And what I want to tell the listeners is my friend, the minute I said, you've been wanting to host like a brunch in your house. I think I have the hook. I think I have the reason we would do this. And I told her and she was like, I'm in. But then when she started telling people, they were like, what are you doing? It's weird. That's weird. And she was like, Becky. And I go, just follow through. You got to trust me. I would never lead you down the wrong road on this one.
Her now. Yeah.
I'm like, I would never, ever lead you to, you've got to trust me. And my friend did, of course. We get to this event. There's 25 women. Everybody was like raising an eyebrow. And then you spoke. The deal was this. Everybody put their name in a hat and we were going to pick 3 people. And you did a 10-minute reading, I think, for each person. And you didn't have to put your name in the hat. And you did like a 15-minute talk about what you did here, right? Who you are, how you knew you had this, how it's developed over the years, what you do for people. Everybody put their name in a hat, number one. And then halfway, 2 minutes into your talk, I saw everybody like perk up. All the doubters, it shed off their shoulders. And then people ask questions. But the piece that I want to tell everybody is the first person went upstairs and did a reading in a room with you. And at the end of her 10 minutes, she ran down the stairs crying, grabbed her purse and ran out the door.
Oh.
And of course, someone after her to make sure she was okay. We're not animals, all of us, but that was it. And the second person went upstairs and came down in tears. It's real. Talk to me about that. Like you're answering some hard stuff for people. Like I know one girl, it was her father died at a very young age. And you told her something that no one would have known. How would you have known? It's real. There's no way you would have known. So talk to me about that kind of stuff. Like it is interesting.
It's a very intense job, I'll tell you that. But here's the bottom line. When you are available to spirit and you find someone to work with, say a medium, doesn't have to be me, it could be anyone, right? A medium that you trust and like, you begin to pull information from spirit through them like a straw. If you are ready to hear certain things, if you're ready to and open to and available to information, it will come through. Spirit will bring through what is healthy for your soul to process at that time. So if you're coming into a reading and your heart is closed and you're shut down, it doesn't mean you still can't be read, but it's going to be a very different experience. So when you go to an event and you're just like, okay, I'm going to see what this is. You see me or another medium, right? It doesn't have to be me, but you see me. And you're like, oh, this chick seems normal. Yeah, I want to see what this is about. And you open your heart, you put your name in, and spirit chooses your name. I didn't choose that.
Yeah.
Spirit.
It's no accident. I don't think there's any accidents in life. Having adopted both my kids, like
that's it.
My infertility was not an accident. The miscarriages could have lived without, except they took my timing to Jane, those miscarriages. And then I know that. And so I agree with you. There are no accidents in this world. There's some unpleasant things that happen that we could all live without.
Yeah.
But there's no accidents.
Spirit pulled their names. They were ready. Their soul was ready. Their loved one in spirit was ready. And boom, they randomly came to a fundraiser with a medium. It's all aligned. So what I do is listen to a subtle vibration. There is a subtle vibration like a radio that's playing all the time. Spirit is not on and then off and then on and then off. Spirit is. Our loved ones are. They're always around. It's just, Becky, have you ever had an experience where you just feel so freaking grateful and you feel so aligned with God and you're just like, yes, and you're just in this great vibe and you feel so good and it's like you're with God and it's so good? That is always. It's you tuning into that feeling. Same thing with spirit. It's like I'm tuning into spirit. I turn up the volume on spirit and I listen in for the person that's sitting in front of me and I deliver what I hear. And if they ask me a question and I don't answer, I say, I don't know. I never force, I never pull information.
Right.
I don't know why certain things come through and certain things don't, but I'm a safe person to read with. If some weird shit starts happening, then I know exactly what's going on. You're totally safe in reading with me. It's actually really simple. It's actually it's not easy, but it's simple when you think about it.
You mentioned God, and I'm not a religious person. I'm a traditional person. I tell people I'm a faithful person. I can't stand organized religion for myself. It's not my comfort zone. But I really do believe in spirituality. Faithfulness is the way I would describe myself. But I'll tell you this, the world gets to hear this story and someone's going to be like, oh, lady, you're cuckoo. But most people are going to get me. When I adopted my first child, and this is a different story than I was going to tell you, but this is it. She was born in Maine and I made it the morning she was born, before she was born. And her birth mother invited me into the delivery room. And adoption, you don't know all the answers. You don't know all the timing. So I didn't know I was going to make it. Had no idea I was going into the delivery room. The nurse puts me in my scrubs and my hat and my shoe things. And we go down this hallway and the hospital was empty in Maine, which is weird because I live in New York City. Nothing's empty in New York City. We go through the doors of the hallway and it's this bright, It looked like we were in a scene from ER, like bright white hallway, lights are shining. And all of a sudden, I didn't know how I was going to feel coming off the infertility journey and miscarriages. And all of a sudden, this heat went in the top of my head. I'm not kidding. Down my face, into my chest, out my arms, down my toe. I was like, what the hell is going on? Down my legs. And I was calm. And I tell people this all the time. Jane brought me calm at a time when nothing else could. And I walked into that delivery room and I supported her birth mother through, I was there for 6 hours of labor. I sat there and I was it for her. And when Jane came into this world, my thought was, babies, I was the first person to hold her, and babies come in, I'm thinking scrunched up, eyes closed. And I held this baby, 2 seconds old, and her eyes were wide open and locked on me. Lady, I know why I'm here.
You're like, I'm coming.
And I was like,
same for you.
What the hell just happened? I had no idea. And now I know. She's 19. I get it. This kid is an old soul, always has been. And this is where I'm bringing it back to you. At 6 years old, I was having one of those moments with her out on the street. And I just looked at her and I'm like, how am I so lucky that you're mine? Because we talked about adoption all the time. And she said, it's because I picked you. I was floating up above and I picked you. And then she went on to just do whatever she was doing, probably like picking up something gross off the sidewalk. And tell me about it. I have never doubted for a minute she picked me, but I'm like,
yeah,
does that leak how?
Yeah, and your experience that you had even meeting her for the first time, that's what you said.
That was weird.
So here's the thing, people really hate this, like in terms of when
I know I tell people that story with the heat in my body, and people are like, I gotta go. Right? I gotta go. I'm not talking to you anymore.
People really don't like when spirit tells them that they chose their parents, right? Because we choose our parents. So many people choose their parents because our parents are our greatest teachers, right? So then some people go, I had shitty parents or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, why would I choose them? It's like, well, you've learned your greatest lessons there. This is part of your life's path, but we do choose our parents. And your daughter, Jane, chose you. This is my mom. And she tried to come through to you before. It didn't work. So then she said, okay, she had an agreement with her birth mom. Okay, I'm going to come through you so I can get to Becky. Okay. And they went, okay, you know what I mean? But you were her mom, that you're who she chose. And your souls had to find someone else for her to physically come through as well. You guys figured it all out. But she did. She chose you, and we do choose our parents. And that's why it's so amazing with adoption and bringing families together. They're waiting for each other. That's who they chose. They're waiting for each other. And you, Becky, are finding a way to bring them together. And that's God's work, honestly. That truly
It's very interesting. And her birth mother, we have open relationship. We're still friends 19 years later, which again is work like any family member, but it's good. And she said too, she goes, how did I get you as the woman who was going to adopt my child? Because I love her with Jane. She's part of our family, and not everybody feels that way in adoption. This is really a big moment in my life, both adoptions, Brooke's adoption too, but Jane's was the first. And that's very interesting. Connected to adoption, not everybody's so lucky to be in the delivery room with the birth mother and to have an open adoption like this. Generations past, it was bad and closed and shame and secrecy, and babies were stolen from birth mothers and the stories were broken. And with that is like a lot of unrest in people's lives. I've seen that firsthand. And talk to me about that, because you've read for a lot of adoptees and birth parents, I would imagine, who've had this unrest.
So many people, they just want to know, and they want to know where they come from, or they want to know just information. It feels so hard with information. I just want to say also to people listening as well is that a lot of the people that are seeking, and I just feel this is so important, that seek out finding information about the birth family, usually have had the most amazing adoptive family, but family that they grew up with. And they feel so safe, secure, and loved and happy with their family that they feel safe enough to go, okay, I'm going to go and see what that birth experience was. So when I have so many people come to me about wanting to find out where they're from, it's not because they're not happy with where they are. It's usually...
No, and I didn't mean that. I meant like they don't have answers, right? They don't know that they have blue eyes. because their birth mother had blue eyes, or they don't know that their middle name was X because they just don't know these
That's what I'm
pieces.
saying. No, you didn't say anything otherwise.
Okay.
Going off what you're saying, it's really neat with going off what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think everyone chooses their parents. So I wish there was another way.
Well, I think it's an interesting twist, because what I see is that, listen, from my story, both my kids, when they met their birth parents, they asked, we followed the lotus flower theory.
Yeah.
They were ready. I made it happen when they were ready, and they knew that growing up. I would be by their side for the meetings, and they both were like, what do I say? And I go, well, I'd open with the words, thank you, is how I would open based on how this has worked out. And I think that's, in my 18, 19, 20 years of being in the adoption world, that's it. Listen, there are some adoptees who are not happy with how that worked out way back when. And I understand that anger, and they don't have their story. They never felt they fit in. But I think a lot of adoptees want to go back to their birth parents and say, thank you for doing what you did. I'm okay. Yeah. And that's what my children's birth mothers have loved to hear, that they're okay, that they are living the lives they dreamed they would through adoption. And I think also my children have wanted to know, how hard was this for you? And that's lovely that I've raised such compassionate girls, right? Because it's not easy, the birth parents struggle at all. And I think it's lovely that I would imagine that a lot of adoptees want to know that from you, because by the time they can find them, they're deceased.
Absolutely.
So they don't get this chance. And you
that's
offer
why they
a chance.
come to me. That's why they come to me.
It.
Hard deceased.
And that's it. You can send the message of, I made it. You did the right thing. It was probably the hardest thing you ever did in your life, and you didn't know that I was okay. So I'm here to tell you I'm okay, and I want to know you were okay too. Yeah. And this is a big deal in adoption, a big deal.
Yeah. If they're living, I can't help them. I can't find them.
No.
And I think the thing I found people that sometimes is very intense is that they find the birth family and they went on to have other kids. Yeah. So that can sometimes be really challenging. I have such compassion for that. But then
both my kids have that scenario.
Have
siblings. Yeah.
And then finishing with that thought, what's really neat is then they get to meet these other siblings. So every story is so unique and so special and so dynamic. And in so many ways, we incarnate in these soul groups. And that's what I was saying to you about your daughter choosing you.
I don't know how it came up. She said to me one day, we were walking again, she was young, and she said, do you think my birth mother, she's her name, will have more children? And at that point, I knew she had more children, but I wasn't there yet. And I have since apologized for not being there yet. To anybody listening, I was out on the sidewalk. I didn't handle it well. I didn't lie, but I said, I am absolutely sure she will have more children, is how I answered it. Because the question wasn't, do I have a sibling? That would have been a different question. Yeah. And I said, I am absolutely sure she will have more children. And she said, will she keep them? And I said, she will.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about why? And you know what Jane said? Because I was meant for you. Yeah. And I'm like crying on the sidewalk. I'm like, I don't know where this kid came. Like this kid's spirit. She is an old soul. I can't explain it. And all these things happened. And I would think she looks like she came out of my body too, which is the craziest thing of everything. But I get what you're saying. It's really interesting. This is why I was so excited to have you on, because you really do tie into adoption in such a beautiful way that I hope people are listening who maybe don't care about adoption and want to reach out to you. Mm-hmm. But for those who may be struggling with things in adoption, this is a very safe way to venture into something that you will never get the answers for if you're willing to do it. And you can do it, do a reading, you can be at home, you can cry, you can do whatever. But
huge goal. They want to know why this happened, where this person is, who these new siblings are. There's so many questions, and it's all beautiful and it's all really unique. And I think working with someone you trust, it can really help, because it doesn't just heal. It helps to understand things on a soul level and on a spirit level in a way that can really be extremely healing, just like the idea of incarnating in soul groups. Yeah. We have different people that we've known before and that's meant to be our mom, and we choose our soul groups. So it doesn't mean that there aren't real human emotions that we have to process. That is the work, of course. And working with spirit can also bring you another perspective that can be incredibly helpful and healing as well.
Now let's talk about one other thing. You mentioned God a lot. And so what if someone's listening who's like me, I'm not comfortable with that word. I don't go to a house of worship. I'm not religious in that way. I had a great reading with you when I did it. Talk about that. Like, you don't have to be a religious person for this to speak to you. Or
Well,
maybe maybe you're going to tell me I am a religious person and I don't know it yet. Who knows?
I don't know what religion has to do with God personally.
Okay. Then
I
let's
don't
talk
know
about that.
I don't know
That's
what
a
that
good one.
means. I
Let's
don't know
talk about
why
that.
religion has taken over and dominated God. I don't get that.
Okay, talk to me. Talk to me. This is good.
God is, period.
Okay.
God is
Okay.
not a Christian God, a Jewish God, a Muslim God, a this God, a that God is. God is for everyone. Now, if you have found a beautiful doorway that takes you closer to God, that's awesome. If you found a doorway through Jesus that takes you, makes you feel closer to God, that's beautiful. If you found a gateway towards tradition as a Jewish person and through your temple and rabbi to take you to closer to God, that's beautiful. These are all, listen, Becky, it all tastes like chicken. It all tastes like chicken, babe. Okay. It's all different ways to access God, spirit, that feeling, that peace within. And religion doesn't own God. You own God. I own God. Every single person listening owns God. We're all a piece of God. Collective consciousness, oneness. That is what God is. We're all included in God. And if there's a part or a story that you don't like a certain religion, then don't go there. But don't let religion steal you from having a relationship with God. That doesn't make sense. Do you feel me?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel you, but I don't think that's what the world tells us.
Who cares what they say? Go within your
I know. I'm just telling you. I don't think that's how I grew up. I think this is a very interesting message. I don't think that's how a lot of people grow up. I think
totally
people
agree.
grow up thinking it goes hand in hand.
Because you know what? That's beautiful. The world is a big, wild place with billions and trillions of ways we can go. How nice to have some tradition. How nice to have something that's written down that you can believe in. That's beautiful. I love religion. I think it's beautiful. I'm not a religious person. I think religion is beautiful. It's not for me. It's not for my family, but it's amazing. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think people find so much and so much richness in their religion. My dad is Jewish. I'm deeply connected to Judaism, although I'm not a religious person, but I have a deep connection in Judaism. I had very profound experiences with Jesus in my 20s. I've gone into every religion, Buddhism, everything, right? So it's all beautiful. It's all great. You have to find what works for you. And if you go into a church or a temple or a mosque or whatever, and you don't feel anything, that's probably not the place for you. You find where you find God. Some people find God on a hike. Some people find God looking at their baby, which clearly you did. Hello, feeling.
Well, I always tell people a lot of adoption is based in Christianity. A lot of organizations are aligned with Christian religion. And when I started Help Us Adopt, it was very important to me to include all. We were not going to be a religiously affiliated organization. And some people criticized me for that. And I'm like, look, here's the deal. Help Us Adopt is my church. That's where I go.
That's it.
Do good things in this world. That's where I stand on a Sunday morning. I don't go to church. My kids don't go to church. We do good things and change the world and live to our principles of life through Help Us Adopt. So that's my church. And then people are like, okay, goodbye, lady. But that's it. That's what I tell people. My religion is you see someone who needs help and you help them. That's my religion.
You are very spiritual. You are doing God's work. And what is God? Okay. God is oneness. God is love. And we now know after hearing this podcast that we choose our parents. We're going soul groups. You're connecting souls together that are meant to be together. That's what that is. And again, I'm not saying religion is bad or wrong. I think it's beautiful. And I love religion, but you don't have to be religious to be connected with God. Religion does not own God. You do.
Yeah. No. And I always tell people, like, you can do whatever you want. I have friends who basically carry a Bible in their purse and pray 6 times a day. It's great. Just don't ask me to join you. And they're like, trust me, Beck, you're not welcome. But it's all good. You do what you need to go. Okay. So we're going to go into our last question. I want you to talk to the people who are listening, who are like, no effing way. This is crazy. I don't believe in it. But then, of course, all those people I do believe are like, but if there's always that little percentage. What do you want to say? The world has told us this can't exist, right? The world has said these people, this is all fake. Talk to us. what do you want these people to know about what you do? If they're considering a reading, if they're now intrigued, all these things, like this can help people. Having answers and peace can help calm your nervous system. And in today's world, with all the anxieties and all these things in our world, peace is a very important thing.
First and foremost, I have to say, number one, what I would say to people is trust your intuition. So if this feels off to you, I would trust that. I really do. And here's why. Because part of being able to calm your nervous system, being able to feel more grounded and centered, being able to connect in with spirit is trusting yourself and listening to yourself. So if you quiet your mind and you go inside and you really think that connecting with mediumship is not for you, then trust that. There you are. You just did it. You're one step closer to feeling calm within your spirit. Okay. So I just want to say that I don't ever try and convince people to get readings. I'm not a magician. So I'm not like, wait.
Well, you don't have to. For
Right.
those listening, this woman's booked 6 months out. She has no convincing to do for anybody.
Yeah, it's not even that. Part of what I'm here to do is to teach people how to listen to their own heart and intuition. So I really do honor and trust others. That's what I would say to that. The second thing I would say is if you go into your intuition and you're like, this is weird, but something is pinging me that I want to try it. So just speaking to those people, if something is pinging you that you want to get a reading, it means there's probably a message waiting for you. And there's something that you're supposed to get that you don't have. So if you get a hit, an intuitive hit, like I want to do that, you'll probably receive a message that will really serve you, whether it's from a loved one who's crossed over or from your spirit guides that can help guide you on your life. So if you get a hit, an intuitive ping to get a reading, there's something in that. And then also maybe you hear me talk and you're like, I don't really like her. I'm going to look for another medium. That's okay too.
Listen, again, I love the fact that you're not a sales pitch. You're like, I don't care if you.
Oh, I don't at all. And you know what? And if you want a reading, I am totally available and present. And like, it is my joy to read for
So
you.
you know what's weird?
In a way.
What did I do? I emailed when we were setting this up. I texted you and I was like, I think I should do another reading because it's now been almost 2 years since I think I did my first one. And your assistant emailed me dates and I sat down with my calendar and I couldn't pull the plug. I couldn't do it. And I closed my calendar and I put the email back in my inbox and I'm like, whatever. Yeah. And then last week I did the same thing. Yeah. And I couldn't pick a date. I looked at all the dates available and I was like, no. I always tell my staff too at work, I'm like, when I procrastinate on a project at work, there's a reason why. My timing's off. And it's very interesting that you just said that because I can't pick a date for you and I feel terrible. And your assistant sent me a reminder. I'm like, it's not working in my brain. Like I keep hesitating.
How messed up would that be as a medium if I'm like, no, Becky, you've got to do it on Thursday. You have to do it on Thursday. You know what? That is dishonoring God because
that is so bizarre. And I was felt bad. I'm like, I told her I was going to do it. And 3 weeks have gone by and I have not done this. But now I'm like, oh my God, the timing's off. The timing's off.
But let me tell you this, Becky, this reading is not between you and me. It's between you and your guides and your team in spirit and your angels and your spirit guides and your ancestors. It's not between you and me.
Yeah.
So the timing has to be right within you. That's why
very bizarre.
I never tell people when to get readings. I never inspire people to get readings. I tell people I'm here, of course, and go in articles or whatever. But you have to listen to you and what feels right to you. And it's so funny. People will call me and they'll get a reading and they're just so high and excited after their reading and they just can't believe what just happened. And they're like, oh my God, I'm going to call you every single month. I'm so excited. And then I hear from them in 2 years. That's why people go, should I get another reading? I go, I don't know. It's between you and spirit. It is not between me and you. Okay. And that's
so interesting
to remember.
Okay. Last sentence. What's the last sentence you want to leave everybody with?
I would say support, help us adopt. It is the best. I think it is. I think what you're doing. And again, like what I was saying in the beginning is like, I really I will support places as Erika, but as spiritual medium Erika, it has to align with God. It has to align with spirit. It has to align with what I'm doing. And the reason why it aligns with what you're doing so much is because you are truly following spirit's path and you're truly bringing souls together that need to be together. Stand up for what Becky's doing and make a freaking donation. Tell your friends, help her, because this money goes to actual people. You
It's
donate
so
money
good.
and it goes somewhere you don't even know where. So that would be my thought. And if
I
you
think your last sentence should be what my last sentence is a lot of times when I talk to people. Trust your gut.
Yeah, I think so too.
Trust your gut.
Call me.
You use intuition. I say gut. Same sort of thing. But I think
I
that
mean,
was
it
a
all
message
tastes like
I
chicken.
heard.
It all tastes like chicken. Gut,
It all
intuition,
tastes like chicken.
whatever.
I think that was what I overwhelmingly heard you say today. Now, why don't you also tell everybody? Because at this point, they're all like, oh my God, how do I find this woman? Tell us where you are.
Okay. So basically, you can follow me on Instagram, which is at spiritual medium Erika. Erika spelled with a K, or you can go to my website, erikagabriel.com. No, that is not a stage name. My last name is actually Gabriel.
Right.
It's Erika with a K and then Gabriel, Gabriel.com. You can go there. And then I also teach courses. You can get some of the courses online. And then I do workshops all about connecting with your intuition or learning about your spirit guides. And I have a podcast. I have about 120 episodes. I've been doing it for 5 years, and it's called You Are Not Alone, and it's on everywhere you can get your podcast.
30 Seconds with Becky Fawcett. So we just talked to my friend Erika, spiritual medium guide. One of the things I want to talk about today after that conversation is knowing your story and how that, in my case, applies to me. Why you would seek out talking to someone like Erika and my kids through open adoption. And I think people have asked me, when did you tell your children they were adopted? And the minute they were in my arms, which is in Jane's case was in the delivery room, and Brooke's case was 4 days later. That's a story for a different day. But I just knew, and I just trusted, and I just had instincts that, I don't know, did I put myself in their shoes? I would want to know I was adopted right away. I wanted it to be a word that they heard all day long when they didn't know what it was. So by the time they were old enough to know what it was familiar as much as their name. And Erika was talking about telling your children things in age-appropriate times. And she compared it to the opening of a lotus flower. And I really do believe that's my children's stories with me. And I just want to tell people is like, at least in my shoes, figuring out who I was in this world and what my purpose was and how I direct my kids through their story, is you have to be open that it could go in a different direction than what you originally intended. Took me a while to get there. I had a thought process of how I thought my life was going to turn out back at age 31. And now, as I am about to turn 55, you have to believe that every day your life could go in a different direction, and maybe that's the way it should go. So here's to being open to that. Here's to be forever learning and questioning and seeking to learn about new things. You guys are amazing. Thank you for listening. 30 Seconds with Becky Fawcett. Thank you for listening to the Fawcett Report. I'm so glad you were here today. And here's to seeing the world a little differently and possibly using your voice to make a difference. You can follow the Fawcett Report on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And you can message me on Instagram or Facebook. And I will actually respond as long as you're not mean. You can disagree with me. You can share your point of view, but you can't be mean because I don't do mean. And finally, if you're curious about my adoption advocacy and family building work through helpusadopt.org, you can find us there on Instagram and Facebook, as well as through the website, helpusadopt.org. See you next time.